mercenaries, scoundrels, rogues, arrogant wizards that are horrible at their job, and carnage.
Hello and welcome to Spotlight Indie. I'm your host, HL Tinsley, full-time writer, part-time pet wrangler, and currently very sleep deprived. As you may have noticed, Fraser and Alex are not with us for this episode. They are off doing other things. I believe that Alex is currently trying to break the world record for most dinosaurs named in 30 seconds, and Fraser is building an army of robots. This isn't what they've told me, this is just what I've assumed going on past conversations. However, we are very fortunate because we are joined by a special guest co-host this evening, Mr. Tim Hardy, a currently behind-the-scenes member of Spotlight Indie, stepping into the spotlight, as it were, for this evening. Tim, how are you doing?
I see what you did there, Holly. That was very, that was seamless. Yeah, I'm doing all right, thank you. It's really nice to be a guest host and, like you say, step into the spotlight. So that's been cool.
Well, it is fabulous to have you. You have been a part of the Spotlight team for a little while now, working behind the scenes, doing some reviews for us, ready for when our website goes live at the beginning of March. How are you feeling about the whole Spotlight Indie run up to launch?
I'm probably a lot calmer than you are. I'm guessing is the honest answer there. So it's been quite nice to get some reviews done. They're all for indie books that I've enjoyed and loved over the last few years. It's been quite fun actually for me rereading those and thinking, God, I was a terrible reviewer at the beginning, but I have tweaked them and up to the quality. But yeah, it's quite nice to sort of like get a package of work done, give it to somebody else and say, here you go. So I think I'm very much a minor cog in a much bigger machine. But yeah, I think we're good for going live sort of first week of March. Is that still the plan?
It is indeed the plan. So we are currently, in fact, by the time this goes out, we will have launched. So if you haven't already been to go and have a look, go and check out the Spotlight Indie website. You will find lots of Tim's reviews as well as loads of other good stuff and all the information about our upcoming event in September of this year. But that is a long way off and we are living in the present. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our author guest for this evening. He is the author of the Fall of Emros series and Vermin of the Old Empire. It is the wonderful Thomas J Devens. Thomas, welcome to Spotlight Indie.
Thanks for having me. It's great.
So, for anyone who doesn't know you or your books, can you give us a little bit of an overview of what sort of things that you write and some of the work that you've got out there?
Right now, I have The Fall of Emros is my epic fantasy sprawling series that's ongoing, and that follows a group of mercenaries in a low fantasy setting as magic is starting to re-enter the world. And that's going to be a long going project, probably. And then I started the Vermin of the Old Empire series as a series of standalone novellas and short stories to have some fun when I need a break from the main series and want to just kind of go crazy with whatever pops in my head, where it is bleak, gritty, somewhat absurd at times, sarcastic, and just whatever comes to mind, I'm throwing out in that one. Like, at one point you'll have some zombie rats, at another point you'll have someone having an existential crisis.
Something that we can all relate to.
Yes, absolutely.
So the last kind of 12 months for you, I know for a fact have been very busy because you've had releases coming out. What's sort of been your highlight of the last year?
I think it would just in general be the Fall of them or the Vermin of the Old Empire series in general, because all of that was 2024 so far. I decided to start it and wrote the first novella in 2.5 months while I was moving. And so I started writing it in January and released it in April. Like, that was from the first word to the publication. And then I did the short story for unearthed stories of the Pawn set in that world. And then in November, I released the second novella, The Dregs. So all of that I got out in 1 year, which felt good after 2 years of not releasing anything.
Mm.
I mean, that's an impressive amount of work to get out in that shorter time. Now, you just mentioned there about doing you did an interactive story for Unearthed Stories that is run by Olivia J. Elliott, who is also a wonderful author herself. Tell me a little bit about that, how that came about and what that experience was like.
That was so Olivia read The Scroungers and she really enjoyed it, which was great. And then she just reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in doing an interactive short story. And at first, I was like, "Ooh, that sounds very complicated." But I didn't want to say no because it sounded like a lot of fun. So I took her up on the offer, took my chance, and I had a blast writing it. It was like she set me up with everything perfectly, so it was very straightforward. She gave me like templates to follow for writing the choices and stuff like that, so it could fall into the coding, and it just went very well, and it was a lot of fun to write. The first time I've ever tried anything like that.
I think something like that is a really interesting diversification for writers to go down. So I know that both myself and Tim have written short stories for various anthologies and books. Do you find that it is more difficult to do something like that? Or is it just a case of it's a slightly different technique that you need to use?
It, I think it feels a lot more difficult at first. Just I think it more so just seems like it's going to be difficult, and then once you get past that initial stage and get into the right headspace, and then just kind of change what you're used to for your normal writing style, and to um to just get into the headspace of knowing like I need to write two things for this scene, and either can happen. And then once you get into that and kind of like flow with it, it comes a lot more naturally.
Yeah, I'm quite keen on this project, I've got to say, because Olivia sort of talked me into downloading the app, and I have given it a try. I haven't read The Pawn yet, but I have read some of the other books on the sort of the app that Olivia's created. And I think I'm probably going to show my age here a little bit, because I kind of grew up in terms of choose your own adventure game books, things like that. I don't know whether with the age of computers and stuff, whether that kind of passed you guys by. But for me,
No,
it was really like going back it was really going back to those school days for me, and sort of like seeing that kind of storytelling coming back in fashion almost. So I really love the idea, I've got to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to read those when I was a kid, and I think I even have some Dungeons and Dragons, like choose your own adventure sort of books on my shelf.
All the memories just flooding back now. So, Thomas, for you, obviously it's been a busy 12 months. What have you got coming up or planned that you can tell us about for kind of the next coming year?
Right now, my plans are overwhelming. I'm giving myself too many plans. I plan on writing two more Vermin of the Old Empire books. I already started both of them. One is definitely going to be another novella. That's going to be my attempt at cozy grimdark, is what I've been saying. And then the other one might end up being more of a novel length, but like on the shorter end of a novel, and that's going to be set. They're all set in the same world, starting at the same point in time, but this one's going to follow like sort of like a monster hunter, bounty hunter sort of storyline. And then I'm also going to finally finish the third book of the Fall of Emerald series, which has been sitting here for 2 years, and it's time.
Awesome. So I do want to talk a little bit more about your series and about your kind of writing experience and your journey, but I do want to just very quickly pop onto our regular section now that we do, which is Indie Good News, where we share some of the milestones, achievements and successes of the indie community as sent to us via social media. So I know for a fact that there is some good news out there this week because I have some to share. I know that Thomas has got some to share. But to kick us off, Tim Hardy, what is the good news from the indie community this week?
So I've got a few things to shout out about, starting with some competition news. So EW Farnsworth got in touch with me, just wanted to mention that he won a couple of first prizes for historical fiction and crime fiction in the International Impact Book Awards last year, so just towards the end of last year, for his books Barrow Zamos and Bitcoin Fandango, which are two of the hardest things to say during a podcast recording. Thanks for that. But they did great. So yeah, check out EW Farnsworth. Keith W. Dickinson also wanted to mention, again, he was a finalist in 2024's Book Bloggers Novel of the Year award with Glunder the Veg Witch, which is slightly easier to say. So thank you, Keith W. Dickinson, for that. We'll just shout out to Book Bloggers Novel of the Year award competition as well. They're open for submissions at the moment for the 2025, and they do a really good job, I think, of promoting indie books. And, even if you're just an entrant and you only get through to the first round, they still give you plenty of airtime, which I think is a really good structure for that. So they're open for submissions up until the 27th of April, if you want to give that a go. And then sci-fi and fantasy author Nick Snape, he also got in touch with me. He's got a new release coming out on the 31st of March. So again, by the time this goes out, still probably be just ready for pre-order. So available for pre-order now, and it's called The Wrecking Squad, and it's his new sci-fi release. And the blurb, I've got to read this, featuring the action of aliens, the camaraderie of Firefly, and the infighting of the Expanse. I mean, if you can deliver 50% of that, that's like Hugo or BSFA winning quality there. So sounds really, really good. So it's brand new series he's just starting. So available for pre-order, and that's Nick Snape.
Awesome. All of those things are good news. We are excited to share them and definitely go and check those out. So, Thomas, I know that you have brought some good news for us this week as well. So what have you got?
I reached out over on the Read Indie Fantasy Discord, and Naranjan wanted to point out that they got a 5-star review on their book, The Elitist Supremacy, which is the first book in the Elite and the Rogues sci-fi series, which was a finalist in the 2023 Indie Ink Awards. So they're happy about that.
Good news, good news. So I have a couple of things to bring to the forum this evening. First of all, some Spotlight Indie news. We currently have a giveaway running throughout March, which you will find details of on our social media. We are giving away a signed copy of The Iron Crown by L.L. McRae. To get your hands on this illustrious prize, all you need to do is either subscribe to our YouTube channel or sign up for our newsletter. You can find that on our website. At the end of March, we will select a winner. However, if you are not lucky enough to get the copy of The Iron Crown, you will get 2 free short stories by Alex S. Bradshaw and Fraser Armitage. So still get something. So, it's worth doing just for that alone. Our second piece of news is that we have recently revealed our featured speaker for our 2025 event will be Graham Austin King. We are super excited about this. Graham is going to be joining us in Shrewsbury, where he's going to be doing an interview with our MC Joel Smith, and he's going to be talking about the 10th anniversary edition of Faye the Wild Hunt. He currently has a Kickstarter running for his special edition for this, so it is well worth going and checking that out. We are going to be backing that for him, and we are really excited to hear more when the event happens in September. In other indie good news, we have had a message from Susanna Imaginario. She is really excited to let us know that she's got a special edition omnibus of Timelessness planned, which is going to be done with the Broken Binding. There is going to be all sorts of cool things going on with this project. So there's going to be some really beautiful illustrations. There's going to be the chance to get some custom bookends. There's going to be loads of cool stuff. That is also going on Kickstarter in March. At the time of recording, we don't have a date for it to start. However, go and check that out. If it hasn't started already, keep an eye out for the launch date. And last but not least, CT Phipps has also sent us a message on. I'm going to have to hold my notepad up here because it's a really long message, because CT Phipps is on fire at the moment. CT has let us know that their latest Space Academy book, which is number 5 in the series, has just come out in audio. That is super cool. They've also hit a milestone, finishing their 10th manuscript in the supervillainy saga, and also hit 1,000 sales on their most recent book sale, which is absolutely awesome. So well done to CT, and thank you so much for letting us know. That is all the good news for this week. However, if you are an indie author, artist, or creator, and you have a project or achievement you would like to share with us, please let us know on our social media. In the meantime, let's jump back into our conversation with Thomas about his books. So I have a question for you regarding the Vermin of the Old Empire, because, as you know, I read the first book earlier this year and I really, really loved it. So one of the things I loved most about this book was the approach to the cast of characters that you had. So this book takes place after there's been a war. That's not a spoiler. That is literally the premise of the book. And what you have is a place where you've got fragments of different armies and, you know, people from different sides, and not just, you know, this was one side fighting the other side. These are people from different geographical locations, different cultures. What was it that made you want to do that kind of multi-POV cast where you don't have, you know, that traditional, these are the good guys and these are the bad guys? What was kind of your thinking and approach to that?
That's just kind of like what I really like. Like I always prefer doing multi POV, and I just wanted to take all of the people that would normally kind of not be considered important, and just like from all the lower walks of life, like just a random butcher that was sent to war, a prisoner that was conscripted, the basic infantry, and I just wanted to tell the smaller stories rather than like the overarching world affecting storyline. So like a lot of that will, as the series goes on, as even though they're all standalones, there's going to be stuff happening in the background that crosses over throughout all the books, but every story is going to be from the viewpoint of someone lower than that, just trying to survive as all this is going on around them.
Now, I have to say, and I know because you're both friends of mine that you won't take offence at this, but you two are probably in competition with each other for having the most character point of views in a single book. You know, I think Tim's got about 200 different characters, all of whom are brilliant. You know, Thomas, you've got absolutely dozens in a very short book. How do you manage that level of character building and ensuring that each character is, you know, as fleshed out as the last?
I don't know. I think I've lose my mind a little bit. I also don't have very good organization with notes. I just have like random binders and scraps of paper here and there with like a name scribbled on it, and then every detail that pops into my head about them, and then just have to remember all that. I often end up going back and rereading my own stuff way too much to remember a character if I like haven't like if a character is in the Scroungers and they're going to pop up in a few books, I end up having to go back and read all of the Scroungers again and like, okay, this is who they are, and get back into their head. It's a lot, but I like it.
I think that's perfectly normal if you've got a big cast of characters, actually, because it's I'm a bit the same. I do keep it on one computer file, so if ever the computer actually melted, I would not know what I'd written. It kind of feels a bit like that. It's sort of in the moment, it seems like really immediate, But then when you've written it and done it and moved on to something else, I find it goes frighteningly quickly, actually. I don't know what that's about. Yeah, it's sort of like, as you say, when you think of something, I just drop it onto that character's little data file thing, all on a Word document, basically, and just keep adding to it, and then try and keep their eye color consistent, because that's the thing readers really care about, isn't it? Apparently, but I meticulous.
I go back searching for stuff like that all the time. I started a single Word document to keep all of that in, and then I have a list of like the first 10 characters, and then as the story goes on, I never go back and update it. And every time, I'm just going to sit down, update this, and get the information I need. I look at it for a second and then just think, I could just be writing now. And then I don't do it.
I think it's something that we're all a little bit guilty of as well. I know that, I've always had the best of intentions to keep organized notes and files. And, for the first book, you maybe do keep that going. And then you get into the second book. And like you say, you get in that zone and you just want to be writing. So it is completely understandable. But, for anyone watching this, take this as a lesson learned. Go out and make yourself an organizer with all your character details in, and it will make your life so much easier.
Yeah.
Write those notes in the beginning as you go, so you don't have to go back and log all of these scraps.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, we are sort of drawing to the close of this section. We are going to be talking to Thomas over the next 3 episodes of Spotlight Indie, so do make sure to come back next week where we are going to be rolling for insights. But before we wrap this up, Thomas, can you just give us a little elevator pitch of your books for anyone who has been listening to this and thinks they might want to give it a try? What can they expect?
For what to expect, I would say mercenaries, scoundrels, rogues, arrogant wizards that are horrible at their job, and carnage.
I mean, that works for me.
Yeah.
That's just reading the back cover, isn't it?
So for anybody who likes the sound of your books and would like to buy them, where can they find you and where can they purchase your work?
Right now, everything's on Amazon, and all of those links are available in my Linktree page. I have all of the universal links on there, but I'm actually in the process of going wide, and will gradually be making all of the ebooks available directly through me.
Awesome. And we will link all the details down in the comments on this video as well. Tim, for anyone who is watching who would like to find out more about your work, where can they go to find you?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. So if you just look for Tim Hardy Author, that combination, my website is timhardyauthor.co.uk, and that gives you all my social media links. But if you look for me directly on places like X, Facebook, let me think, Blue Sky, I'm currently on, and I'm also on Instagram, but I'm baffled by Instagram. So apologies for whatever you find on there that's sourced by me. But yeah, across those different platforms, I'm around, so not too difficult to find.
Perfect. And you can also find Spotlight Indie on obviously YouTube, but also Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, and X. You can visit our new website at www.spotlightindie.co.uk, where you will find all the information about our upcoming event and what is going to be coming up on the channel. Please share and tell people to come and take a look at what we do. Hopefully they will enjoy it and we can spread more indie good news and happiness and love and positivity. And it will all just be a wonderful, lovely, fuzzy circle of love. Anyway, we will be back next week with Thomas to wrap it inside. Until then, keep reading, keep writing, and hopefully Fraser Armitage's robot army won't have taken over the world. So smooth. So this is how professional I am. I wait for the appropriate moment to ruin it.
Ambush your guest host. Oh no, that's a bit disastrous.